Hey guys, welcome back to Geeky Bat. So I'm doing post commentary for this one today because I'm trying to get a whole bunch of videos made as quickly as possible so that I can actually upload stuff in a better, more timely manner. And also because I have two puppies in the house. They bark a lot. So trying to find a time where I have good lighting and no barking puppies is difficult. So I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. We're back here again with our Eclipse Fairy custom. And I decided to add a little bit of purple to this. So I had started using a very soft purpley lilac color, but my marker was dead. So I had to jump in with a different color here, which is a very light violet purple. And this is a Copic Ciao marker, which is their slightly smaller, non-refillable, I believe. I don't even remember if you can refill Ciao markers. Copic has two major types of markers, the Ciao, which I'm using right here, and then the sketch markers, which I tend to use more than anything else. They both have a brush nib and either a fine point or a chisel tip. And usually almost everything is refillable, but you can replace all of the nibs on the sketch markers, and you can refill them, and an ink refill almost refills it like 10-12 times. So the ink refills are amazing, and you don't have to throw your markers away. You just buy a refill and keep using the same marker. It's incredible. So I decided to add a little bit of a dark lilac, which was the original shade I was going to use for the marker that died on me. And this is, I believe, a lilac, and that's the Copic sketch marker right there. You can see the difference in the size. And then I'm going to get a slightly darker color, which is another Copic sketch marker, and I'm using Amethyst to add a really dark pop of purple. And for my camera setup, I definitely like being able to see the whole image now, but if my lighting's not great, then the whole thing's just kind of ugly shadows everywhere, and I can't quite get close enough to really see that detail. So I'm going to be figuring something else maybe to get a little bit closer. So I've done the main sash on her outfit, and I kind of thought a little bit and decided that I wanted the main parts of her bodice to be black and gold, and her skirt to be kind of like a silver. Since she's an Eclipse Fairy, I'm going to represent the sun with gold and the moon with silver. So to kind of offset that and not blend into her skin too much, I decided to use purple for all these sashy parts. And I'm getting low on some of my favorite colors, so I am kind of having to make decisions based on, well, what do I have enough ink in my marker to be able to color this and still have enough left to do the crazy background. And here is one of the unfortunate things about working with something so detailed is that I can't see it when I'm sitting coloring it. So I actually have to kind of rotate my clipboard a little bit so that I can get all that hard to reach areas without making quite as much of a mess. And you'll see as we go that I do color outside the lines quite a bit because I was, trying to rush a little bit. But so much of what I'm going to be coloring on this is going to be either such a heavily saturated color or a darker color, so you won't even see those mistakes. And I'm not worried about coloring outside in the background at all because it's going to be a crazy galaxy celestial sky, so you won't see any mistakes that I make for the background. I'm still deciding on her hair color. I'm not sure if I want to make it dark or if I want to make it light or if I want to make it like an ombre. And if I make it an ombre, I'm not sure what kind of ombre I want to do. So I'm still thinking of that, but I usually work from lightest colors to darkest colors because, especially with the alcohol-based markers, the lighter colors tend to make the darker colors bleed and smudge and smear and just not look good if you put them on top of darker colors, which sometimes that works if you're trying to like tone down a color and you decide to, help to blur it out a little bit, which I believe I showed how to do that a little bit in my last video. But if you're just doing regular coloring and you don't really want that to happen, always work light to dark. For some brands of markers and even color pencils, a lot of times your lighter colors will pick up the darker colors right off of your paper, even if it seems to be dry, and just smear and smudge it all around. It is a nightmare to fix. So always start lightest to darkest. I always tend to start skin tone because it really helps to kind of set the color tone, the color palette for what I'm working with. So since we wanted our Eclipse Fairy to be kind of alien and ethereal and very fairy and fantasy, I started with her turquoise skin first as a kind of a base place to start. Now the other colors that I work with on top of it will not be out of place later. So she's coming along. We're almost done with her sash. And it's looking pretty good. I definitely like adding the purple to that turquoise. I think it's going to look really cool with the black and gold bodice. So I'm still trying to decide what I want to do with her wings and hair. I'm thinking maybe on her wings I might do kind of like a gold to silver ombre, because I have a lot of pretty metallic pens now, thanks to a couple of my friends sending me some awesome gel pens. So I may add like some sparkles and detail and do something really cool. So I would do kind of like a very blurry, soft and subtle kind of gold to silver ombre on her wings, which is going to be a little difficult and which I'll need to do before I get too much more involved with this, since they'll be a little bit lighter colors, and I'll probably use a colorless blender, which is just like a pure alcohol marker, and it helps to saturate the colors and kind of bleed them out. And I that in the next video. Sorry, I had to cut my audio there because my mom came back to see if I was okay and did not realize I was recording. So I am just about done with the sash here on this part. I am going to try to record quite a bit of footage on this and try to get this commission finished up by the weekend so that I can post it. Probably not every day, probably every other day, maybe twice a week. I'd like to start an actual schedule where I can get 2 videos out a week on something art, whether it's projects, whether it's actual commissions. I may even try to do like some perler beading videos because those are really fun. I have a few ideas in mind for some supply tours where I might go to some of my favorite crafting stores or hobby stores and talk about different supplies that are there and how they're used and kind of how they compare to each other, so that if you are looking to get some supplies kind of like mine, you will have a better idea of, what each one does and how to use it. So here is our beautiful Eclipse Fairy. She's starting to look really cool, and I will have her up shortly, and then probably another video this weekend, and then the rest of these will kind of just slide out over the next couple of weeks until she is all done. Oh, I am really liking how this looks. I really like how that dark amethyst pops the color up just so much more, and I did not even use a lot of it. It is just looking super neat. Yep, looking good. So if you'd like to see some close-up shots of this fairy and some of the other stuff I've been working on, I finished 2 pet commissions earlier this week. You can check out my Instagram, which is also GeekyBat, or my Facebook, which is again also GeekyBat. And I have some more fun videos coming up. We may do a live stream for New Year's Eve, just kind of count down together and maybe do a sketch the night away kind of thing. So there's the Eclipse Fairy. Give it a like if you liked it. Subscribe for more if you want to see more. I hope you guys have a wonderful New Year's. This is GeekyBat. See you later.